Over at Marvel Comics, the publisher just released their solicitations for the month of July, advertising a fascinating slate of new comics featuring a return over to the X-Men's Hellfire Gala. But due to the fact that the Fall of X storyline event is just on the horizon, I think this one is going to go down a bit differently than the last few have. Plus, we're actually going to go ahead and return to Ultimate Invasion with a look at what celebrated writer Jonathan Hickman has in store for the upcoming series. And we'll take a look at a wedding over in the pages of The Amazing Spider-Man. My name is Arako Braddock, and today let's count down 5 of my most anticipated comic books over in the month of July. But before we get deeper into the video, I want to go ahead and encourage you to consider subscribing to the channel and hitting that like button if you enjoy our content. I want to go ahead and kick things off today by sharing my first most anticipated title. This is Ultimate Invasion number 2, featuring writing from Jonathan Hickman and art from Bryan Hitch. I want to read Marvel's solicitation text to introduce the issue as well. The maker plans to make sure Earth's mightiest heroes never become heroes at all, and then he can restore the universe into exactly what he wants it to be. So I think the maker is an absolutely fascinating character over in the Marvel Universe, and somebody who Jonathan Hickman has a lot of experience with, thanks to all of the material he's written for Reed Richards over in the Fantastic Four comic book series. Of course, Reed Richards is the maker from the Ultimate Universe, and Ultimate Invasion is finally Hickman's chance to kind of pit the maker against the Marvel Universe. Very interested to see how this one shakes out. Really appreciating this cover as well over from Bryan Hitch in the issue. Very glad to have him returning on artwork for this series. This is a 40-page issue coming in at $5.99. Next up, I want to go ahead and spotlight The Amazing Spider-Man 31. The 31st issue of the series will be written by Zeb Wells, as well as Kaare Andrew and more creators that Marvel has not announced yet. Also, the art is going to be illustrated by John Romita Jr., Kaare Andrews, and more artists that Marvel has not announced yet. Special oversized issue. It's the wedding of the year. Peter Parker is the best man, and Tombstone is walking the bride down the aisle. That's right, Janice Lincoln and Randy Robertson are tying the knot, and there's no way all the crime bosses in New York City aren't seeing this as an opportunity to off Tombstone. The story sets up our big spider event of Zeb and Johnny's second year on ASM, and that's just the half of it. Also in this issue, Bachelor/Bachelorette Party's other Amazing Spider-Man story preludes glimpses of some of the biggest unannounced spider projects and extra bonus awesomeness. Several things to talk about over in this series, but I think chief among them is the fact that there's actually a new spider event over on the way for Zeb and Johnny's second year on Amazing Spider-Man. Really interested to see how that is going to go ahead and shake out. Also, I'm very interested in the fact that Zeb Wells is kind of returning to this plot line over with Janice Lincoln and Randy Robertson that he was able to kind of flesh out in a lot more depth during the first arc of his run. Very happy to see Zeb Wells kind of go back and pay off some of those plot threads that he had kind of teed up in previous issues, and really happy with how Zeb Wells is kind of a plot-focused writer over on this title. And I want to go ahead and shout out our number 3 book. This is Marvel Age 1000, written by J. Michael Straczynski, Dan Slott, Jason Aaron, Mark Waid, Rainbow Rowell, Ryan Stegman, Steve McNiven, and Armando Iannucci. The art in the issue is from Kaare Andrews, Michael Allred, Pepe Larraz, Alessandro Cappuccio, Ryan Stegman, Marguerite Sauvage, Steve McNiven, and Adam Kubert. The cover that we're taking a look at here is over from Gary Frank. Really great to see Gary Frank drawing some of the Marvel characters right now. He's typically a DC artist. It's a celebration of the Marvel Age of Comics, and you are invited. The massive commemorative issue also includes contributions from some of the most storied creators in Marvel history, as well as a few surprises as the classic days of Marvel are explored in depth. J. Michael Straczynski and Kaare Andrews create the Marvel Universe in a backyard. Dan Slott and Michael Allred depict a crucial turning point for Captain Marvel. Rainbow Rowell and Jamie McKelvey explore the blossoming relationship between Cyclops and Jean Grey. The original Human Torch finds his purpose thanks to Mark Waid and Alessandro Cappuccio. The Silver Surfer confronts Mephisto under the guidance of Steve McNiven, and more, more, more. Plus the ultimate Marvel value stamp, 1,000. Who or what will it feature? So many things to be excited about over in this comic book, from the cover over from Gary Frank that we mentioned up top to some of the writing from really celebrated creators like J. Michael Straczynski, Jason Aaron, Mark Waid, even Rainbow Rowell, whose kind of She-Hulk run I've really been enjoying. Plus, Kaare Andrews is a very talented artist and writer in some cases. Very, very excited to go ahead and check this one out. And for our number 4 book, let's go ahead and spotlight Blade #1. This one is written over from Bryan Hill, featuring art and cover from Elena Casagrande. Marvel's slickest vampire hunter returns in a brand new ongoing series by Bryan Hill and Elena Casagrande. True evil is patient, and a dark ancient power has been simmering quietly for centuries. And when Blade himself is the one to unknowingly unleash it, Marvel's entire supernatural underworld will come out of hiding to demand he handle it, or pay a pound of flesh for his mistakes. Bloodbaths, blackmail, and Blade. You won't want to miss the explosive first issue of this new volume. I really love the fact that Marvel is kind of really pushing Blade as a franchise right now between the Bloodline series and this Blade title as well. Bryan Hill's a really talented creator. Very happy to see him kind of return over for the Blade title. And I'm not familiar with artist Elena Casagrande, but this cover that we're taking a look at is absolutely wonderful. Let's go ahead and talk about the X-Men's upcoming Hellfire Gala with X-Men Hellfire Gala 2023 #1. This one is written over from Jerry Dugan, featuring art from Chris Anka, Joshua Cassara, Russell Dauterman, Adam Kubert, Pepe Larraz, RB Silva, Luciano Vecchio, and more. We're taking a look at the cover over from the issue from Phil Noto. The Hellfire Gala is always the biggest event of the season, but this year's will change everything for Krakoa. What is meant to be Mutantkind's biggest night becomes their biggest nightmare as the Fall of X begins. All your favorite X-Men are going to be left reeling after this one. Shocking revelations, stunning betrayals, horrifying tragedy, impossible deaths, and of course the glamorous looks of the year, all in one cannot miss package. So I'm very, very excited about this upcoming Hellfire Gala one-shot. I think, unlike a lot of the previous Hellfire Gala issues, this one is probably going to be the darkest and most climactic. We just came out of Sins of Sinister. We know that Orcus is planning something over with characters like Nimrod featured on the cover. And it looks like we kind of even have an emblem for Orcus over in the background of this issue. So very excited to see how kind of the walls are going to cave in over for the X-Men characters, and to see just how big and bold this year's Hellfire Gala is going to be. And I still want to include our 6th bonus issue to go ahead and cover. X-Men Before the Fall Sinister 4 #1 is a Fall of X tie-in. This one is written by Kieran Gillen, featuring art from Paco Medina and a cover from Lucas Werneck. As the 19th century draws to a close, the dying Nathaniel Essex unleashed 4 clones of himself into the world. They've been haunting it ever since while lurking in the shadows. We know what Sinister has been up to. What about the others? In this issue, we delve into their past and discover their latest atrocity, when they start to date. So over in the X-Men universe right now, the Sins of Sinister storyline is kind of winding down over at Marvel. It's honestly been a really fantastic storyline, and I am so excited about the fact that all of these plot threads that are kind of key to Sins of Sinister, that at least some of them are going to be re-explored and reinterpreted through this Before the Fall X-Men tie-in. I think characters like Mother Righteous really showed off how much kind of story potential and depth they have in this series, and I really hope that some of these kind of ancillary Sinister characters will continue to be in the pages of Immortal X-Men for a long time to come. Also, I really enjoy Paco Medina as an artist, as well as Lucas Wernick, and very excited for what they're going to be bringing to the series alongside artist or writer Kieran Gillen's script for the issue. So overall, I'm very excited for this upcoming slate of Marvel titles over in July. I think a lot of these X-Men books are really going to be fascinating here as the Fall of X is just upon us over in the month of July. But I want to know from you, what are some of your thoughts over on these comic book series? And is there any comic book that you think I left out? Well, thank you guys so much for coming to check out the video, and we'll be back really soon for more excellent comic book content. Thanks so much, and I'll see you soon. Bye.